Today on our show, man, Doctor Strange. Spoilerific review.
Spoilers. Why are you channeling Kevin Smith?
I frequently channel Kevin Smith. He is my Patronus. That's next on the Nerdynomicon.
Doot. That was my Fat Man. I'm Batman. Before we start, I have a question for the people out there. I'm a big New Girl fan, and me and Robbie have had a question now for a while. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, if you also... Oh, actually, no, I have to stop. Adrian's not here. Sorry, guys.
No, Adrian's not
Robbie's
here again.
Brooke's here, but no Adrian. We don't know where Adrian is. He's disappeared from the universe, so we're pretty sure he's stuck.
Yeah, I sincerely hope he hasn't fallen
in the mirror dimension.
Not the mirror dimension.
I was hoping,
no.
I was hoping you wouldn't make the joke, so that's why I said it first.
I appreciate that.
We're pretty sure that he's stuck in the mirror dimension because we haven't heard from him. So if
Things can't escape the mirror dimension.
If you hear from Adrian Steve, please tell him we're looking for him, and there's a reward.
Hashtag desperately seeking Adrian.
No, it's not that's desperately seeking Hobart. This is like hashtag like flowers for Adrian. Because I don't know where he is. He's gone. He's disappeared from the world.
That's a really depressing analogy, though.
I know.
Jesus. Well...
So hashtag flowers for Adrian. So if you guys have any questions for Adrian, or you know where Adrian is, hashtag flowers for Adrian.
Yes, please. Let's actually kick this off in earnest. We're going to sit down here and open up the Nerdynomicon. And to do that, I'm Robbie.
I'm Brooke.
All right, so you wanted to say about New Girl before we jumped into our spoilerific night of Doctor Strange.
I don't know if anyone else has ever watched that show, but if you ever watch, whenever they're in Nick's room, pay attention. Nick has a glamour shot of himself, and I don't understand why Nick has a glamour shot of himself. And Robbie didn't believe me, but then I pointed it out, and he's like, holy shit, why does Nick have a glamour shot of himself? It's so random.
And because we noticed that when we're getting our photo shoot for our son in a couple of... actually, it's this week, isn't it?
It's Sunday, Saturday,
yeah,
Sunday.
One of those days. Yeah, I'm going to get a glamour shot of myself so I can put it in the office.
There's
right
also,
there next to the computers.
There's also a picture of Seneca Lake on their refrigerator, and since Robbie is from Seneca Lake, that always makes us really happy.
Yeah, that's actually where I proposed to you.
To me. Yeah, so we think that's cool. But if you're a writer, or you know the writers, or you know how to get in touch with the writers of New Girl, can you just ask them why Nick has a glamour shot of himself?
Maybe it's just something that Jake Johnson did.
Seriously. I mean, it might have been. Maybe they were just like, this Nick is a weird dude, so he would just randomly have a glamour shot. But anyways, I know that had nothing to do with anything, but it was a question that's been bothering me. So
well, it's a good question, though.
And put it out there in the world, so.
Just send it out there. Hope that we get a return.
Yeah, so I sent that out there. If anyone knows, if it's been explained. Thing is, it hasn't been explained. Maybe it's like in an extended scene or a deleted scene, because I've never seen those. So
maybe it just be a random Easter egg or something.
I threw that out into the ether. If you know the answer, please send it back. So.
Any other statements about New Girl?
I love it. It's funny. It's a quality program. It's a quality entertainment.
You know what else is quality entertainment?
No.
Doctor fucking Strange.
Before we go to Doctor Strange,
yes.
We do need to talk about something pretty important. No.
Okay.
Oh my God, your clock is working. Holy shit. Sorry, it hasn't worked. We need to talk about.
Oh, look, Kitty.
We have to talk about American Horror Story this season, which is basically the greatest season of all time.
It is the greatest season
Holy
that they've
crap.
ever done. I have not been this scared by a
Holy
TV
crap.
show in, I don't think ever.
I don't know if somebody taught Ryan Murphy about editing or
subtlety.
Brad Fulchick took over or something, but holy shit, whatever they're doing this season, they need to keep doing it. It's incredible.
Seriously, is James Wan working on the show and he's just uncredited?
Like James Wan and then some guy who does Japanese horror also. I don't know what they're doing this season, but it's every
Takashi Miike.
It's every good horror trope they're using. They're doing some found footage, but they're doing it in a way that totally works.
Yeah.
And they did they had Japanese horror, but they did it in a way that was it worked so well. And they're almost doing they're also doing torture porn to a degree, which I hate.
To a degree.
They're doing it in a way that no, but it's they took everything I hate about horror, which is basically everything, and they made it really good. It was they basically Project Runway that shit.
They made it
They
work.
made this season work. This is their unconventional challenge, season, and it worked.
It really
They
does.
took,
This is legitimately
they took some
scary.
Japanese ghosts, and they took some found footage, and they took some, cannibalistic, snuff porn stuff, and they put it all together, and they made a delicious, horrible jumble. And it's graphically violent, too, but not in a way that feels graphic.
No, it's in a way that works. It's not for the shock and awe type deal. Even Rubberman was kind of shock and awe, but it's not like that.
There's going to be spoilers. Even when she killed Matt, it was like you were so shocked, but it was like, no, I get it though. It made sense.
It really did. I've got to say, the scariest part for me in this show so far has been Evan Peters' character. Not his actual character, but when they were doing the interpretation
with the reenactment. Yeah. I would have thought you would have said the Japanese.
The Japanese ones are getting to me, yes, but it's not just the Evan Peters with the face every time the torch went in front of it. It's also when they briefly saw his ghost in the real version of it, the found footage version.
Yeah.
And it had almost that House on Haunted Hill, Guillermo del Toro feel to it.
Yeah.
Yes, I realize Guillermo del Toro didn't work on House on Haunted Hill, but I was thinking more like Mama. You know what I mean?
I was thinking
had
more
a very similar
Devil's
sound.
Backbone.
Yeah, again, Del Toro.
I'm talking about Del Toro. Every time the orphanage, where every time you see the ghosts, they make weird noises, and the ghosts are awkward. And that was who it was in the tunnel that was making that weird noise.
Yes, it was.
Because they were trying to get him to help, and he was like, nah, I'm not helping you bitches.
Basically, yeah. It was almost like he was enraged that they were back.
Well, that was on them.
I agree. You can pay me fucking enough to get
live,
there.
And I'm gonna lock in my vote as Lee. Or Angela Bassett's character.
Well, considering that everybody I voted for is now already dead,
I thought it was going to be Matt because he was the innocent, and then I thought it was going to be Shelby because I thought it was going to be a season of redemption, and then I thought it was going to be Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character because he's the villain. It was kind of like it was turning the trope on its head.
Right.
None of those turned out to be right, so I think it might still be a season of redemption because Lee is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Or Angela Bassett's character will win by default. I just don't see Sarah Paulson's character living.
I'm going to lock in Angela Bassett.
I just don't see Sarah Paulson's character living. But then again, maybe they will be, because she's so annoying. But they might be fucking with that trope. I mean,
it's possible.
That trope, too.
Yeah, I've got to say.
Then again, Finn Warwick, the guy who played Dandy Mott, just showed up. So maybe he'll be the survivor.
True, but they did make the comment about how they all showed up and only one survived, so I'm not sure if they're going to count him in the official count.
He survived. I mean, he showed up.
True, he showed up late to the party. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be a second person to live. Maybe he'll die too. It's hard to say. I cannot call anything this season.
So
I can't call anything this season.
I like how they're not showing us the ghosts. I feel I think that's very interesting because the ghosts were so important in the flashbacks, and now they're doing the actual, showing you the actual ghost. And I don't think I've ever actually clearly seen the Butcher.
You haven't? No.
They've never showed us who that actress is. I don't think it matters who that actress is, or they haven't shown the any of the ghosts really. They just they haven't really needed to.
She's almost, as far as appearance, got a Elizabeth from Elizabeth mixed with Bram Stoker's Dracula type deal going on with the hair and
I don't know.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was
very
really
uncomfortable.
Weird. But I like that they're not really showing you the ghosts because it doesn't really matter who they are at this point. I don't know how many more episodes we have, but it's kind of who the fuck is left?
Yeah.
I don't think we have that many more because how many? There's only 3 characters left.
Mm-hmm.
So unless they kill one, every episode. What I think might happen is Lee might be the survivor, and then she'll get put in prison for all the murders. So they'll say that she went nuts, and she'll try to find the tape, and it'll be gone.
It's possible. I'd like to see Angela Bassett survive, but I'm voting for her to survive, so that means that she's next on the chopping block at this case.
Basically. We'll see.
Yeah. But
we'll figure it out.
This is the best season of American Horror Story so far. You realize I think we've talked about Ryan Murphy on every episode of our show? And I don't even like him that much.
This is the Ryan Murphy podcast, guys.
Kind of, but I don't even like Ryan Murphy that much.
I think he's brilliant in the sense that he gets stuff on TV that no one else does. I think he's brilliant in the sense that, he at least tries to give us a lot of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of, he really is big on different cultures and different ethnicities and different races and different, sexual orientations. I think the problem he gets into is he beats you over the head with the fact, like, look, we have a gay character, look, we have a black character, look, we have an Asian character. It's like, yeah, no, we got it. You don't need to keep telling us. Like, we saw that the first time with our eyes.
See, my issue with Ryan Murphy.
I wasn't done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I also think that he throws everything at the kitchen, but the kitchen sink in his episode. That's why I think this is such a great season. Is he picked like 3 really strong ideas, and he went. I feel like he's
showing
editing,
restraint.
He really learned about editing, and I think he picked 3 pretty strong ideas. I'll say he picked the flashback, the kind of like true ghost story thing. He picked the found footage thing, and he picked kind of the torture-y porn thing, and it works. He did a really good job with it, and he kept them really cohesive. And I think that's the thing is I think he's stuck. It's a lot like the first season, and I think another reason Asylum did really well is they were kind of stuck in a place, so he couldn't go too crazy. It's when I really think it's 3 that just threw them off, kilter, because they could go places. Once he could go places, he went places. I think when he's confined to like an estate or a house or an asylum, he does much better. I mean, the thing is, though, you could argue like the hotel, he was only in one place, but he went weird with the hotel. There was vampires and
but they brought it back on track a lot quicker than usual.
The only thing I have to give him about season 5, we're around 6 now. I liked the pro-vaccination message. Like, if you don't vaccinate your kids, they're going to become measles zombies. Yes. And I think that's the truth. If you don't vaccinate your kids, they're going to become measles zombies.
See, the thing for me about
vaccinate was my point. We're pro-vaccination.
The thing for me about Ryan Murphy is I tend to love his shows, and then he makes me hate the shows. I stop watching, and immediately when I stop, it gets good again. I mean, hell, The Walking Dead did that to me too, but he seems to do that with almost every show, with the exception of Popular, which only was stuck around for 2 seasons, and like nobody remembers it anymore.
You know what, though? Speaking of The Walking Dead that you brought up, I have to say I agree with Mark Bernardin on that, going back to Fat Man on Batman. And it's the reason I'm not sure I want to watch it again. He perfectly encapsulated what I want to say. There is no ending for that show. There's just they either all die or they continue to live terrible lives. There's no cure. There's no society that's not fucked up. There's no government coming. So what's the end? I mean, he said, they're already getting into their 10th season. That's 10 years of your life devoted to what?
It's
the
true.
end is just going to be them what? All dead or just surviving. Like, how is, like, that's terrible. Like, that's just, like, okay. Like, I don't know. I totally get what he's saying. It's like,
I get what he's saying, too.
What's the best case scenario in this show? Like, what is the best case outcome? Like, I'm asking, honestly, what is the best case scenario for a finale? They all die? That's depressing.
All the zombies die out.
So then what? They build a new society?
Yes.
I feel like if they were going to die out, they would have died out by now. I know the show hasn't been 10 years. Like, on the actual show, I think it's only been, like, 2 years or something like that, or a year and a half.
Something like that. Considering Judith's age, I think you're right.
Well, I'm saying that, like, 2 whole pregnancies have come and gone. So, we know it's been at least 18 months.
Yes.
And keep in mind, Rick was in a coma for a while.
Yes.
So we'll say the entire zombie apocalypse has been 2.5 years.
Let's say that, yeah.
If they haven't died out by now, I mean, are they really going to die out?
Give it enough time, I would say so. But then again, it all depends on what type of lore you go with.
They did say that they are falling apart. That's one thing that they said has been very important is they are falling apart. They are decaying. It's just taking a lot longer. But I guess, you could argue, like, the best case scenario is all the zombies die out. But then what? Like, I just don't see an ending that isn't just like, seriously?
Anticlimactic.
Like the last 10 minutes, or the last 5 minutes of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Like, I've devoted 10 years of my life to that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's the kind of how I feel about Supernatural. Like, what's the ending? They either die or they just keep hunting. And the thing is, they're getting old to the point where it's like, I don't want to watch 60-year-old Sam and Dean. As much as I love Sam and Dean.
Actually, I do want to watch that.
I do. Actually, I do want to watch
that. Takes me into Bubba Hotep territory.
I feel like that's like grumpy old men, the Winchesters. But, like, I don't want to watch, like, from 40 to 60.
No,
that's
I don't want to see that.
And really sad.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I guess I wouldn't have a problem watching like 60 to 80 because that would just be hilarious. And then after 80, you're kind of like, you guys need to go into a rest home and like drink your Ensure and keep your bones not broken. But like, I don't want to watch 40 and 50-year-old Sam. So it's kind of like, what's the ending?
Now I'm just picturing Bruce Campbell dressed up as Elvis and a black JFK fighting as mummy.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, what's the ending? It's kind of how I feel about Supernatural, which is as much as I love it and I'm glad they kept going, I almost wish they had finished with 5.
Yeah. 5 would have been a phenomenal ending.
What's the ending?
Yeah.
I
mean, seriously, they really tried, and once they got further away from 5, it started to feel more compelling again. But once you bring Lucifer and the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse to the table, what else do you really care about? You know, I mean, you shot your load.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is like I understand like they couldn't leave Sam in hell, but I always got the impression before they retconned it that Sam's soul went to heaven. It was just Sam's body that went to hell. Like that's
that was self-sacrifice.
I thought it was like Lucifer took Sam's body and then he killed himself to like trap him, and then Sam went to heaven and Dean got to live, you know, his weird. I don't know. I also never liked that girl. I felt that was very,
I never
very
liked
forced.
her either.
A lot of people, I mean, we're not alone in that. A lot of people felt that was very forced. I know this has nothing to do with Doctor Strange. I just wanted to like, hey, this is a nerdy podcast about nerdy stuff.
I was just looking at the time. No, you're good.
Organic. I never liked that girl. I didn't think they had nice chemistry.
I don't think
the
anybody
son was
liked her.
very annoying. I didn't feel like
I didn't have a problem with the son.
I didn't feel like that was organic for Dean.
That I agree with.
I didn't feel like that was an organic tradition. Like I felt like if Dean was going to transition, it would be like he would, I don't know, like go to school to be a mechanic or something. Like I feel like just like him instantly, you know, sailing down and being, you know, dad to me was like I was very like I just felt that was very forced.
Right.
He didn't have good chemistry with that one. I did not think that. I did not like that whole storyline, like that whole actress and like.
Yeah, I didn't care for that either.
And at the end where he kept like screwing up their lives and stuff, I was kind of like, oh my god, can you just shoot those two already and be done? I mean, the son was a vampire. Just shoot him. We're done.
Oh yeah, the son did become a vampire, didn't he?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I'm like, just shoot them and be done with it. They're boring. So, but anyways, that's how I feel about The Walking Dead. In a long roundabout way about The Walking Dead is I feel like, what's the end game? Like, there's no happily ever after. It's just they either all die or they just keep surviving. And that's
it's not always about the end game. Sometimes it's about the journey.
But the show has to end. It's not real
eventually,
life. The show has to end.
Eventually,
there has to be an ending.
I mean, all I'm going to say is I enjoy... After the mid part of season 4, which is when I stopped watching for about a year and a half, I got back into it, and I'm enjoying what's happening.
Hey, can I
really
ask you
am.
a question? Why'd you get Bud Lights and not Labatt Blues? Like I asked?
Have no answer.
I don't like Bud. He got Bud. I wanted Labatt.
I have no answer.
Okay, just curious. All right. So Doctor Strange. Let's
Doctor Strange.
Show on the road.
When opening night?
We did. Let me start out by saying that I didn't know what the hell Doctor Strange was. I'd only seen one trailer, and I was very, I didn't get what this was.
Yeah, let's start with that. We went opening night, surrounded by fanboys, okay? We're surrounded by fans everywhere from the age between 12 and what appeared to be a mid-60s. Absolutely incredible atmosphere.
It was fun. We were applauding trailers. It
was
so
starting
cool.
out with Rogue One because that new trailer.
And the new Power Rangers.
Power Rangers trailer.
90s kids represent the Power Rangers.
Seriously, that trailer started out looking like The Breakfast Club. Both you and I thought that remake had slipped by us. We're like, wait, what's happening now? What's happening now?
Okay,
because it came out looking like Breakfast Club.
I need to say something. I need to say something. It's what 80s kids used to say to us, but now I'm going to say it to 90s kids. If you were born in 97, you're not a fucking 90s kid.
No.
If you don't remember 1995, and I mean clearly remember 1995, you are not a 90s kid. I'm sorry, you're just not. Move on. You may remember this stuff because you had it when you were a kid, but it's not your thing. Don't steal my nostalgia. Although the sad thing about that, though, is the kids that are not 90s kids are like, oh, early 2000s music was the best. And I'm like My Chemical Romance? Like, please. They're like, yeah, that was so good. You guys had such good, that emo thing was so good. I've seen this. I'm non-ironically, I've seen the kids that are teenagers now being like super nostalgic for the early 2000s music. And I'm like, emo? Really? The guys with the zebra eyeliner and the crazy hair? No one is nostalgic for My Chemical Romance.
Let's take this back to the Power Rangers, away from the emo. It looked good. It looked really, really good. Not quite as good as that YouTube video.
Awesome.
But I don't know, that YouTube movie really kind of spoiled me. That was the gritty movie that us as, late 20s, early 30s deserved. Now, obviously, we're never going to get that in a big screen.
Why is
ever.
our table carry? It's so weird. Sorry, continue.
Obviously, we're never going to get that, but this feels close enough. It really does. And I almost thought that we were going to see Zordon there for a second in the trailer,
I was hoping
too.
we were going to see
We
him.
got a little bit of a taste of Rita.
I was
a little bit of a taste of Rita.
That.
But, oh, man, looking good. Looking really good. Another trailer that came out, The Great Wall, with Matt Damon.
Is that what that was called?
That was called The Great Wall.
What the frick was that?
I have no idea. I thought that we made a remake of Attack on Titan, and again, something slipped by me.
I had no idea what
I'm
that
like,
was.
what in God's name is happening here?
I'll
Yes,
give
it
them
did.
that. It looked pretty. They did a really,
really
good
did,
job,
yep.
but I kind of had no idea what that was.
No clue.
No Harry Potter trailer, which made me sad.
Yeah.
I love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I can't remember the rest of the trailers. I'm spacing.
Wonder Woman
Trailer looks so good. I'm so excited for Wonder Woman. I think it's going to be awesome.
You know, it is.
I love Chris Pine, so I'm excited.
You know,
he's the lesser of all the Chris's, but I still like him.
He is. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been going strong for over a decade. We have yet to get a solo female superhero movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But we're getting Wonder Woman out of DC.
And we have Supergirl, too. I feel like DC, for all of its issues, is really promoting, like, females. Like, and I'm all about it with Wonder Woman because she's awesome. To be fair, does Marvel have any super strong... I mean, technically we got Jessica Jones, and we are getting a Captain Marvel movie.
True. I mean, but Captain Marvel is a couple of years away. Although Brie Larson, are you kidding me? No, 2018, 2019. Yeah. But I can wait for Brie Larson. I can wait for that.
I know they're making all this money, but I still think it's really insane that they have movies planned out till 2020, and I'm like, you guys are really counting your
oh, they've got movies plotted out longer than that.
Maybe, like, I don't know. I'm one of those people that it's like, I like them. They're good. They make the money. I understand it. But the thing is Hollywood is it's actually putting itself out of business.
It is.
Which I think is very interesting because as these movies get bigger, they have to get bigger budgets and they actually are not making as much money back.
Right.
Yeah, they make like $6 billion, but when your budget is like $5 billion, it's really not that impressive.
They're making all their money at the international markets, specifically China.
Go China, man. I just think it's worked out for them, so maybe I'm not one to say anything, but to me it's like sooner or later this bubble is going to burst. And I think I have a really bad feeling Hollywood as we know it is just going to have to completely rethink its structure. And I think when this bubble bursts, unless something huge comes out that we haven't thought about, like because we did have teen, dystopians for a while that made money and so unless something huge comes around, like some genre none of us are thinking, like I don't know, cat Holocaust movies. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Unless something huge comes around, I just feel like this is gonna be a lot of people hoisted on their own petard, and
eventually I think it may happen.
Hollywood's gonna have to rethink itself.
I think it may happen. The reason that I don't see it happening as quickly is because with so many of these comic book movies, Doctor Strange included in this, because this is going to segue us right into our review that we're getting to a lot later than we anticipated. But hey, I mean, I think we've got some really good discussion going on here. All of these, the Marvel movies in particular, all have their own feel to them. You've got your action movies with, Iron Man. You've got your espionage movies with Captain America. You've got your basically action comedies, heavy on the comedy with Guardians of the Galaxy. Now we're getting into the mysticism. Now we're getting into the magic with Doctor Strange. So, I mean, they all have their own feels and themes to them. They just happen to be interconnected.
This is where I'm starting to get confused a little bit. Is I feel like all the other Marvel movies, even the X-Men movies, are based heavily in science. And that's what distinguishes like comics and sci-fi. And I feel that's the only thing I've got confused about with Doctor Strange is that could have been a Harry Potter movie. Like, I'm just confused, like how why it's all of a sudden magic when everyone else is science based. Like. Well,
let's get into this. With
the exception that like the Hulk has his stuff because of a science experiment gone awry. Steve Rogers has his stuff because of a science experiment gone awry. Black Widow and the Green Arrow or whatever the heck. No, that's DC.
Yeah, that's DC.
Hawkeye, thank you. They have stuff because they were trained.
Right.
Captain, I'm sorry, not Captain America. Iron Man built his suit. Mm-hmm. All the mutants in X-Men it's a mutant.
Yeah,
gene.
It's an X factor.
Deadpool was manipulated by science.
Right.
Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider.
Scarlet Witch is the only anomaly so far.
It's still the X Factor, though. Isn't she technically an X-Men?
Yes. However, her powers are beyond that of any comprehension.
I mean, they sound to me a lot like the way that Jean Grey is supposed to be. Her magic is crazy important, too.
She has essentially one genre of power. When Phoenix attaches itself to her, Dark Phoenix first, and then burns away, and then becomes regular Phoenix, that's actually an alien entity. She's basically Jean Grey with Phoenix.
Okay, and then
so it's a symbiote.
Deadpool's Jessica Jones, I don't know where Luke got his powers. Oh, he got his from a science experiment.
Yes.
Daredevil got his from an experiment.
His was radioactive sludge.
That's where also Jessica Jones got hers is radioactive sludge.
And the Ninja Turtles, little known fact.
Ninja Turtles, yeah. So I feel like the anomalies are Iron Fist, which I don't know a lot about, but I think
Danny Rand.
I've read his story. He was like transported to a mystical land and became like, I don't know, the dragon or whatever the hell his name is. If you read the synopsis for that, that's freaking weird. It sounds like Doctor Strange almost exactly. So I'm a little confused how they're different. Like one's blonde. That's the only difference I could find is one was blonde.
Well, let's get into this. That way we can dive right into the mysticism. So Doctor
Strange and Iron Fist seem to be the only two where it's like it seems like they have magic, and I guess that's the only thing. I mean, I guess if you argue it. Daredevil got into it a little bit with like Madame Gao and like
you're talking the
Elektra and stuff like that. So I guess it is there, but I guess my brain can't. And I mean, I hate to bring them in because they're technically not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I know they're in the Marvel Universe.
They're canon. The
Fantastic Four, magic or it was science. It was a meteor.
Yes.
Flare went awry. It was a solar flare going awry.
Yes.
So to me, it's like I don't understand how you can have like the X-Men. Let's start with the X-Men, who have these crazy range of powers, but it's all explained as like an X gene. And then have like Doctor Strange and Iron Fist, where it's like, oh, we have and Elektra, who's technically doesn't she have some mysticism going on too?
She does in the comics.
She's kind of like an assassin of some sort.
For those that don't know what's going on with Doctor Strange, they've only heard about it in passing or in the trailers.
I can't reconcile how you explain the X factors.
Just want to let you guys know, heavy spoilers. We're diving into this, okay? That way we can touch on exactly what Brooke's talking about, because a lot of you are probably cocking your head to the side and saying, wait, what? Because Doctor Strange, not a huge character, not extremely well-known. Well-known to the fanboys and girls, but not really well-known. Doctor Strange, Dr. Stephen Strange, he is a neurosurgeon. And
What a dumb name.
I know,
like that,
seriously.
I don't mean to be that person, but I have to say, like, when you have, like, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers.
And then you got Stephen Strange. Really? Really? And for the longest time, I actually thought he was a villain.
I know, you were telling me that.
Yeah, it's seriously, like, in the Marvel Universe, everybody that's got a doctorate is a villain. Dr. Octopus.
Is Professor X a doctor?
I'm sure he's at least an honorary doctor at this point.
He has a PhD, doesn't he?
If Kevin Smith is an honorary doctor, I'm sure Professor X is an honorary doctor. I mean, hell, Stan Lee is now. He just got his doctorate honorarily.
His name is Stan Lee. That just makes me laugh.
So, Dr. Stephen Strange, he's a neurosurgeon. One of the best, most pompous douchebags you ever want to meet. Very similar to Tony Stark at the beginning of Iron Man. Played by the incomparable Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Hells yeah.
I like that they cast two Martians for this movie, Benedict Cumberbatch and Tilda Swinton.
Yep.
I really think that they probably had a nice Martian reunion on set.
I know that they're pissed off that the Martian Manhunter's in the DC universe.
I love them both so much, and I think that they're both extremely talented.
Superbly.
But I swear to God, they can't be human. Yep. I mean, I know they're British, but I don't think they're human.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton playing the Ancient One.
I love
So
her.
what happens with Stephen Strange, he gets into a horrible car accident because he's texting and driving. Well, actually, he's on the phone, but looking at a picture.
He's texting and driving, but he's also driving unsafely, and he has a sports car.
Although such a sexy car, though.
He was I mean, the point was to show that he's an asshole.
Yes.
And, like, he has a God complex, doesn't think he can. And then he loses the one thing that he needs is his hands. Yep. And he goes through all these experimental treatments to, like, find, to fix his hands. And then he finds Benjamin Bratt, who, like, I love to see him coming back. I love Benjamin Bratt.
Right?
I was kind of hoping he'd be, like, a bad guy or be, like, a bigger character.
But no, like 2 minutes.
He might be, like, a sequel character that they threw in.
I'd be fine with that.
Comes back.
I'd be fine with that.
One thing I was confused about, for a story that's clearly so versed in, like, Asian culture, very few Asian characters.
Agreed.
I'm not trying to be one of those people who's like, you have to do all that, but I did feel like, I know that, people have been complaining about whitewashing in Hollywood, and I know actually they're being true to the comics, but I felt like they could have, I don't know, as much as I like the guy who plays Hannibal on the show Hannibal, I don't know his name, but he played the bad guy in this. Like, I'm like, I feel like you could have gotten, like, Chow Yun-Fat was busy, couldn't call him on the phone. Jet Li was unavailable for that role. I just feel like that could also have been an Asian character.
So what happens with Stephen Strange? He hears that this one man who was a paraplegic, couldn't walk, was told he was never going to walk again. He was really going belly up in his rehabilitation. Travels to Nepal, and he seeks help from It was Nepal. Seeks help from a mystical guru. Tells Stephen Strange about it. He travels to Nepal to try to find these people, and they let him in.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't even think you can even review this movie. Honestly, like as much as I want to, anything I'm gonna say, it was all visuals. Like I feel like you really can't review. I mean, outside of he learns to hit magic powers, basically, he learns like mystic ninja powers and fights.
Yep, and time. He's a friggin' prodigy with it too.
He fights time. I feel like it's all visual, and that's not. I'm not insulting it.
No,
it literally
because this movie was incredible.
It was like when Kevin Smith said it was like Inception. DC, like a Marvel style.
Marvel does Inception, which is true.
Basically, just Inception in a way that, like the way that like they bent time, but I feel like you really can't talk about this movie too much, like because the plot is really kind of thin.
It is. I feel like it is. It's you're right. You know what? You're right. When you put it into words, bringing in Dormammu, which is the main villain. This is what I'm going to say. This is what it was. I'm going to completely wrap it up for you.
A surgeon who loses the ability to use his hands.
Yes.
Tries to find a cure. Finds a cure, becomes a mystic in the arts, like a prodigy in the arts.
Becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
And fights a guy who wants to end time.
By basically calling forth Cthulhu. And in this case, Dormammu.
And fights Dormammu, which is the he lives outside time with time.
Yep.
And that's it. That's kind of the whole film. But it was so visually done, and it was so... I do have to say one thing. I actually have one criticism, though. I feel like Rachel McAdams was kind of wasted.
I do, too.
I feel like that character...
That is my only real qualm.
I love Rachel McAdams. It's the only qualm I have with the whole movie. I love Rachel McAdams. I think she's magnificent. She did a great job.
Yes.
But I feel like that character, I just... First and foremost, and I hate to say this, I don't feel like her and Benedict Cumberbatch had a lot of chemistry.
I felt like she had a lot of chemistry. He didn't.
Which kind of worked. I mean, that's fine.
It did. And actually, toward the first half of the movie, it actually worked perfectly.
It was fine.
Perfectly. Once he started to become a warmer person, I agree with you. But I felt like she had chemistry. He did not. But that's just Rachel McAdams. She has chemistry with everyone.
I feel like that character could have been a dude, just as like a buddy, as opposed to like a girlfriend.
I agree.
And it would have been just as like they could have cast Watson, and it would have been even better for us.
Oh my god!
Like if they had made that.
Holy shit!
If they had made that like a best friend role as opposed to like a girlfriend role, like when totally this has nothing to do with it. When they made Hot Fuzz, Nick's role, who he played he played that was actually supposed to be a love interest, and they were like, you know what, we don't want a love interest, we're going to get rid of it, so they made it a dude, and they kept a lot of the same lines, and it still worked. It worked better. I mean, I think Hot Fuzz works better without a love interest. I think it would be stupid if there was a love interest.
I agree, because then you don't have the buddy cop situation.
Exactly. So I feel like that role could have just as easily have been like, I feel like they had to have a love interest. That's one thing I don't like about Marvel, is I feel like every single person has to have a love interest.
Yeah, because it's by the book.
To the point where it's like, I mean, Deadpool, it worked because it was funny.
Yes. And it was also central.
But the thing is, I even feel like Captain America, it worked in the first one because of Peggy Carter, and I felt like that was really important. I feel like in the second one, there didn't need to be a love interest, which was the Peggy Carter's like
grandniece or something.
Like I didn't think you could have gotten rid of that character, and it would or you could have kept the character but not made it a love interest, and it would have been fine.
I completely agree with you.
I feel like I understand it. There has to be a love interest. It's a Marvel movie, but I feel like
Pepper Potts even made sense. But at the same time,
Pepper Potts makes sense. Pepper Potts works. You need a love interest for that character. I feel like Iron Man needs a love interest. I guess Ant-Man didn't have a love interest.
Not really. No. I mean, if romantic love interest, no. His love was his kid. Because it was all for his kid.
It works for Deadpool. Because it gave that character kind of a grounding in reality, and you understood.
And it also gave him agency.
Like, he wouldn't have cared that much about saving his own life if it wasn't for her. And that's why he did it. So that one makes sense. And also, he's a slut. So to have him have no kind of sexual... Like, he's a pansexual. I mean, to have him have no
He's not just a pansexual. He's a pansexual slut.
Like, have him have no interest. That's why I love that he's trying to... He's trying to campaign for there to be a boy love interest next movie. I'm like, I love Ryan Reynolds. What a genius.
As much as I would love to see that, to me it just kind of throws away what
I don't know. I don't think he wants to get rid of her. I think he wants to add another.
Now I'm in. Boom.
Like,
now I'm in.
That
okay,
I get, because I feel like they'd be into that.
Right. More of that, less of everything else.
It works with Pepper
Less of everything.
It works with Pepper Potts and Iron Man because you need that My Gal Friday thing.
Yes.
Like, that character needs that My Gal Friday.
Right.
You know.
And the Pepper Potts thing that kept Tony Stark grounded ultimately is what the mystic arts did with Stephen Strange. You didn't need the love interest there to ground him because the mysticism did it for him.
And then like when you found out Hawkeye had that whole secret family and stuff, like that worked for me too. But then like giving like making like Black Widow and like Black Widow and like Hulk kind of have a thing. I was like, why does Black Widow need to do that? Be that character?
She doesn't.
And even
she does not.
To be fair, the Thor. I have never seen the Thor movies because I find Thor to be a very boring character.
That's also your halfway point between Tony Stark and the mech.
So I don't know if I know that he does have a love interest played by Natalie Portman, but I feel like she's kind of she was in one movie and then they kind of like he doesn't need a love interest.
Basically,
like I feel like him and Hulk kind of became the Legolas and like Gimli of like the Avengers,
essentially,
which I'm into.
And huge spoiler alert for those of you who may know a little bit about the story that's going on right now. The first stinger at the end of this movie, holy shit, setting up Ragnarok, baby, setting up Ragnarok.
It was Thor hanging out with Doctor Strange. But the thing is,
with a magically refilling beer. Why do we not have that?
Harry Potter probably does. But that's the thing I have to say is like I feel like Rachel McAdams was wasted, and I feel like if that character could have just as easily have been a dude, and the storyline still would have worked. It still would have made sense that he turned away his less successful friend, and it still would have worked to have like because you know what it would have been? It would have been the Gregory House and his best friend storyline.
Yes, it would have. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Exactly
that's
what
absolutely
it would have been.
Right.
Is it would have been from the show House. Remember House's best friend, where House even admits the only successful relationship he's ever had was his best friend because his best friend was kind of a masochist and kind of kept coming back and was helping him.
Precisely.
And I feel like that would have really worked better almost if it was like a buddy. Because I don't think that he needed a love interest. And I feel like Rachel McAdams was kind of wasted. And I feel like that character was she's probably in the comics and they probably do lip service. But I don't know.
What she did was great. I loved the humor. The scene where they're fighting on the astral plane in the hospital. I thought that her reaction and everything was great. I'm just saying. But I agree with you. That was a wasted opportunity.
Look at the TV shows.
Yes.
They've fucked with those storylines so much. Like they've made love interests that weren't there, and they've gotten rid of love interests that are supposed to be, and they've made it work. Like I know Jessica and Luke are supposed to get married, but he doesn't even mention Jessica in the entire series.
Right.
And I hope they do get back together during Defenders because I genuinely really liked them together.
Oh, by the way, they are also teasing that season 2 of Luke Cage is going to be Heroes for Hire, which means that Luke Cage teams up with Danny Rand with a little slice of Jessica Jones. But what I'm saying is, like,
gravy. Jessica Jones is supposed to be his wife.
Yes,
like that's supposed to be like a.
They're supposed to have a kid too.
And that really wasn't even a deal. So I don't understand like why they had to have it. Plus, there's so many retconned and fixed storylines that like you could probably have just not had him. I feel like if they wanted to have a love interest, they could have brought her in a sequel or like later. I feel like this movie should have just been like a buddy. An imaginary buddy, because they can make up characters.
Because you have enough of the fan service with Dormammu, with the Cloak of Levitation.
I know it's DC, but Joe West is not a character in Flash, and they made it work, so...
That's true.
I feel like that could have worked, and I feel like Rachel McAdams was kind of wasted. I feel like she would have been better for a different role, like in a different movie. Yep.
That's a very good point.
It was awesome as hell to hear Dr. Palmer, because that's our last name.
Yes,
that was super
great.
Awesome.
But no, you're right. I mean, when you put it into words, the movie sounds incredibly silly, and it sounds like nothing I'd be interested in.
It was so good. It was
the visuals.
It was gorgeous.
Seriously.
For a movie that relied so heavily on CGI, it worked. Like didn't look fake or cheap. It looked nice. I mean, it's that Disney money.
And this is one of the most perfect movies I've seen.
Disney Imagineers were definitely working hard on that.
Oh God, yeah. This is one of the most perfect movies I've seen in quite some time. On par with Oculus, which in my opinion is the inception of horror.
I love Oculus.
Guardians of the Galaxy, which blew me away.
I need to watch that movie again. I kind of wasn't paying attention. I liked
you
what
fell
I
asleep.
saw, but I fell asleep. I don't know.
Well, you were pregnant. You fell asleep 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Iron Man, perfect movie in my opinion.
I like Captain America.
I like really all of the Captain Americas. I feel bad Civil War the least.
I haven't seen Captain America Winter Soldier because, again, I fell asleep. Not because it wasn't good, but I was like very pregnant at that point. So.
You were extremely pregnant at that point. But, those movies, absolutely phenomenal. But to me, it's the best movie that came out since Oculus or Guardians. I mean, it was almost a perfect movie.
To be fair, we might need to watch Civil War again because keep in mind we had a very young baby at that point. We were both very, very tired.
But I mean, I've gone on record multiple times by saying that Civil War, my only issue with it is I thought it was great.
Overhyped, in my opinion.
It was an absolutely phenomenal movie, but they gave away everything I wanted a half hour before the movie ended.
It like it was The Godfather of like, and I mean The Godfather Part 2 of like comic book movies.
And you know what? It easily could have been.
It was like, okay. It was okay.
It could have been. But that last fight was so anticlimactic after the superhero smash.
The fight, I felt like they did the fight and then there was still an hour left. And it was like Batman.
It was about a half hour
Batman
left,
versus Superman, the big complaint a lot of people had Batman versus Superman, is the fight was too far in. It was like the opposite of that. Like the fight was too far in the beginning, and then there was still a huge movie. Whereas Batman versus Superman was 2 fucking hours, and then you get to the damn fight, and then there's also another
and that was
fight.
Way too quick of a turnaround.
And it was like
Martha.
Oh my god,
Martha.
I mean, I want to believe my son loves me, but I highly doubt he'd stop beating his mortal enemy because his mom's name was.
And then calling him his friend 10 minutes later.
Oh yeah,
I'm a friend of your son's.
I know, I'm friends.
Really? Because you just tried to stab him with a kryptonite
Aren't you friends
kryptonite
with all
spear.
the people he tried to stab with kryptonite spears?
Yeah, but it takes more than 10 minutes.
Well, that's on you. Not that we're talking about Batman v Superman, and don't even get me started on Suicide Squad. But
yeah,
serious
we've talked
question,
about.
I actually do have a serious question for all the fans. Tweet us back at this or write us back to us. How many of you can actually remember anything that happened in Suicide Squad? Not how good Margot Robbie was. Not what the hell Jared Leto was on. About the plot. How many of you can actually remember what happened and make any sense out of it? I bet you all of you are kind of like, what did happen? Or if you do know, you're kind of like, well.
In the director's cut version, there's only an extra 20 minutes, despite the fact that I guess they cut an hour.
The other thing I have to say, and I have to agree, I know I'm quoting Kevin Smith again. If your movie has to have deleted scenes to make it work, then that's not a good movie.
No, it's not.
If you need deleted scenes and extended scenes to make your original cut work, unless it was heavily, heavily edited by the studio, such as Blade Runner.
Yes. I mean, there are situations where it happens. Blade Runner being the prime example.
Where they told him to add stuff that didn't work and told him to get rid of stuff that did.
Yep.
There's no reason that your movie should only make sense in the extended cut. That's a bad movie.
Yes.
A great example is the horror movie from the early 2000s, Stay Alive. When you see the extended cut, that's a great movie. When you see the actual theatrical cut,
makes
that
no
movie makes
sense.
no sense.
None at all.
And then you see the extended cut, you're like, oh, that's genius. So that
movie never got enough love, in my opinion.
I feel like that's a really underrated movie.
We are so off topic with Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange was great, guys. I don't know what to say.
It really was.
The problem is, though, what can we say that every other person hasn't said about it? I mean, it was really visually cool.
It was visually perfect, in my opinion, and you know what? That's a good point. I mean, we've talked about the characterization. We've talked about the thinness of the plot. But you know what? The way he beat Dormammu, I thought was brilliant. By trapping a creature that lives outside of time in a time loop, I thought was brilliant.
No, I do actually have one other complaint. The best friend character, not the actual best friend, but his teacher guy, the other gentleman.
Oh yeah,
the guy who was in
Serenity.
Where was he from? Because I kind of got the impression he was supposed to be from Brooklyn, but he had a British accent. I was very confused about his origin story. Outside of that, it was cool. I really liked it.
Had just the right amount of humor in that movie too.
I loved that character. No, I'm not insulting that guy. He was magnificent.
Yeah, I'm not referring to him. I'm referring to Wong.
I was really muddied on what his backstory was, and I know they didn't need to get into it too much, but I'm like, who are you? Where do you come from?
Yeah, I've got to say my second favorite character in that movie. I'm not usually one that loves the leads the most in a movie or a TV show. Even in Harry Potter, my favorite characters are actually Fred and George Weasley. I love Harry, but he's by no means my favorite. And it's that way with most IP for me. Mm-hmm. In this one, my favorite character was Stephen Strange, followed very closely by Wong. I thought he was great.
Tilda Swinton was my favorite character.
I get that.
I really liked the Supreme Old One because I felt like she played it really well.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like she was a very old person who's seen a lot of time, and I feel like she had the burden of time on her, which I thought was really well done.
Now, see, that is something that we can say that a lot of people are not in agreements with, because a lot of people that I've been hearing did not like her for the Ancient One. I thought she was brilliant.
The thing is, the character is not supposed to be Asian. The character is supposed to be, from what I've heard, the character is supposed to be from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was cool with her.
Yeah, and I was fine with Tilda Swinton. I thought that she brought a lot of complexity to the character by keeping her face stoic and almost immovable, but at the same time being able to convey such emotion in her eyes. I thought she was fantastic.
I love her and everything. I did not love the bad guy, but I don't love that actor.
I thought he was fine.
I don't like him there's nothing wrong with him. That's not true. I've seen him act in his native language, which I think is Dutch.
Mm.
He's very good.
Okay.
I just feel like he's weird. His English, it's not that he speaks poorly. There's something about his accent that throws me.
I can get that. I mean, he was fine. I guess the best way for me to say it is I'm going to remember the visuals. I'm not really going to remember him per se.
Eye makeup, though. I felt like that was a really weird choice.
That was a weird choice. I think it was supposed to...
avant-garde. It was very avant-garde. I was like, okay.
I don't know. I get the feeling that it was almost supposed to be like... Remember that one episode of Doctor Who? How in Pompeii? How the witches had the eyes? And they cover their face and they can see.
Yeah. I gotcha.
I almost feel like that was their way of seeing into the black realm.
I get what you're saying.
It's not explained. Maybe we'll get it in the deleted scenes.
Another question that I do have that I kind of wish was explained more is why. Like, I guess I just didn't understand the main bad guy's motives. And the other thing I hated is none of his henchmen were developed. They were just random henchman number 1, random henchman number 2.
Yeah, but you'll have that.
No, but you know why?
I see what you're saying.
Stephen Strange made such a big deal out of killing somebody because he was a doctor. And I just feel like the emotional resonance wasn't necessarily there because you didn't know that guy. Like, I feel like if he had just been developed just a little bit more, then I would have felt his struggle. But to me, it was kind of like he's a nameless, faceless Bond villain. Who cares? Like,
I actually felt almost the opposite because, Stephen Strange ends up killing him, and it goes against everything that he stands for because he is a doctor. And the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. And he ends up killing this man. I actually was fine with that particular situation because he didn't know who that person was either, but it didn't matter to him. It was a life, and that's all that mattered.
Oh, no, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying for us as an audience, I probably would have understood the struggle a little bit more if I cared more about the person.
Right.
And it sounds so terrible, but it was like, we're so trained to not care about henchmen. Otherwise, we could never watch a James Bond movie.
Yes.
We could never watch the Avengers.
We could never watch a Batman movie.
You could never watch a movie if you cared about the henchmen.
Right.
And so we're so trained to just think of them as like, oh, they're the person you killed to get to the big boss. That to me, it kind of was like, oh, don't worry. He's just a nameless, faceless person. No one cares. So that was my only problem. There's a reason we root for the dog to live when 30 people are murdered. Like, it's because we don't care about the random background characters.
It's true.
So I feel like that, I don't know. I wish that, I just don't get the bad guy's motives. To me, it was very like, okay, you don't want to die. Okay, but like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely see what you're saying. I mean, the motivations were watery at best, but they were there. I mean,
they would have bogged down
there was no agency.
It would have bogged down the movie too much to like get into like too much of that character, and I understand it. And I'm actually not complaining. It sounds like I'm complaining. I thought it was a perfectly made movie. I thought it was really well made.
Yeah.
And I feel like less was more in that because the visuals were so stunning and it was so almost overwhelming of a movie.
And it was too.
I feel like giving that background character too much background probably would have been the wrong choice, and I feel like they made the right choice. It just, for me, as a person who does want to be a writer and does want to, tell story, to me, I care a lot. To me, the most important part of any story is the characters. Some people say the plot. Some people say, I'd say the characters. Like, you could have the coolest plot in the world, but if I don't care about the characters, to me, it's like, I don't care.
Right.
That's why I care more about dialogue than description. It's just me.
Right.
I just was more curious who that person was.
I get that.
It's kind of... because he seemed to not have bad motives. Like, there's certain characters who can get away with them not having any real agency. Like, the Joker's agency is he's just as crazy. And in fact, I actually hate when they try to give him a backstory because I think it ruins the Joker. I think the fact that the Joker is just this force of chaos and he kind of comes in. I don't need to know that the Joker didn't, get a horsey on his 10th birthday. Like, I don't need to know that. I don't care. But there are certain characters, I don't feel like that character was crazy. I don't feel like he was a chaos demon. So I kind of was like, okay, so you're afraid of dying, but I just don't. I felt like there was like some animosity between him and...
It almost felt Cthulhu-esque.
The animosity between him and the Supreme Old One or whatever.
The Ancient One.
Didn't feel like I understood it. Like, it just seemed kind of petty.
I think more than anything, he was jealous.
Okay, I mean, that's fine.
I think it was, the everyman feeling of being afraid of death and trying to find a way to cheat death. And he was jealous of the Ancient One for having that ability. Despite the fact that she didn't want it. She don't want this. She don't want this.
But it was a really good movie. I'm very happy I saw it. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. Oh, God, yeah. Made me care about a character I did not know or care about ever in my life.
We got to talk about this mirror dimension.
I don't even. I didn't get the mirror dimension.
The two most visually stunning movies I've ever seen in my life. Inception, obviously, and The Matrix. I think that this movie, specifically with the mirror dimension, as they're shifting and manipulating New York City, bending it to their own will in this battle, I think that this might have actually blown away the visual effects of The Matrix.
It was great.
If not, it's on par. You know, God, absolutely amazing. And the whole concept of the mirror dimension is it's literally a prison.
I get that.
You cannot get in, you cannot get out. The difference is you can manipulate this prison. You just cannot escape it. So that's basically what the mirror dimension is.
Like I said, it was good. I really liked it. I think anyone who is even remotely interested in the Marvel movies will like it. I think the only problem...
I don't think you need to be a fan of Marvel movies to like this.
One of the problems I'm having with the whole universe is at least they're trying to keep it consistent in DC. I feel like between the movies and the TV shows, they're trying to kind of keep a consistent tone. I feel like the TV version of Marvel is like very gritty and down to... I just can't reconcile a world where Luke Cage, who's an unbreakable man, is fighting Cottonmouth. And Doctor Strange, who's a clearly breakable man, is fighting, like, to stop the end of the world. To me, it's kind of like... It makes the struggles of, like, Jessica and, like, Luke seem not that big of a deal. Like,
well, that's the whole thing about the Defenders.
At least Jessica's made sense that, like...
The Purple Man?
I mean, Kilgrave could literally control people with his mind, and he was doing terrible things to them, and he was trying to become more power to take over more people. Like, he was basically a sex offender who was, like, he was a rapist serial killer.
It wasn't basically. I'm pretty sure it was implied that he was a sex offender as well.
She is, like, so hers is the only struggle that makes sense. And I understand Daredevil's because they're stopping a major crime boss.
Yes.
But I guess to me, like, Luke Cage's villains now seem really stupid. Like, a somewhat corrupted politician and a dude who owns a nightclub. Like, really? Like, Luke Cage is literally...
Yeah, but what about Diamondback?
Luke Cage is literally unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take him over to he seems very zen. They can't take him to go be fighting.
As much as I agree with you... You know, I do completely agree with you because they're so tonally different, and yet they're in the same universe. They are canon.
And the thing is, they do exist in the same universe because they all mention each other.
Yes, they do.
Like,
they refer to the situation in New York City and the Avengers as the incident. And even in Jessica Jones, they talk about New York City being invaded by aliens.
Yeah.
They take place in the same continuity. So Luke Cage is in the same city right now as Stephen Strange, who's battling essentially Dormammu. Who's basically fucking Cthulhu.
Let's put this in context, and this is one of the problems I think I have with it. This is one of the problems I have with comic books in general. Mm-hmm. Let's put it in context. Season 2 of Daredevil. Yeah, the Punisher is crazy, and the Punisher did need to be talked down a little bit. But if I was Daredevil, after having just seen fucking aliens, I'd have been like, dude, you do you. Because we might be killed by aliens.
Well, the whole point of the Defenders is... The Avengers takes care of the world. They clean up their city.
Yeah, but then,
they're supposed to be like the local heroes.
Why is there no like LA Defenders then? Because no one cares about LA. I'm
sorry.
Pretty much. That was on me. That was a nonsense. That was on me.
We love you, LA.
We don't. We don't. We hate you. Not the people that live there, but we hate that city.
But, I mean, that's supposed to be the concept of the Defenders.
I guess it's hard for me, and I feel like this is a real-life person. Mm. It's hard for me to believe that people like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, who Jessica Jones is
they feel so real. Netflix makes them so that you feel so close to them. Luke Cage
literally can't be broken.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, why are the Avengers not calling them? Because, I'm sorry, if I'm Tony Stark, I'm swapping out fucking Black Widow and Hawkeye... People who shoot arrows really well, a literally defunct method of fighting for the unbreakable woman and the unpenetrable man. Like, I'm
the immovable object and the unstoppable force.
Like, she's basically the Hulk. She basically has the strength of the Hulk, and he basically has the unbreakability of the Hulk. It's basically 3 Hulks. I'd be like, woohoo, 3, and those two don't go crazy.
Yes.
So if I'm Tony Stark, I'm be like, look, Hawkeye. I'm sitting them down. I'm getting Nick Fury because, HR. I'm saying, Hawkeye, Black Widow, you've been really helpful to our team, but we're talking to your team, but not your chair. Not your chair. There's these other people from New York. She's unbreakable. She literally is super, super strong and can fight. It's also kind of implied that she has the mental capacity of Professor X because she can fight off Kilgrave. Her brain is so strong she could fight off Kilgrave.
I think that was supposed to be implied of genetics. That she genetically could fight off the pheromones.
Yeah, that's what the X-Men are. It's just an X-Path.
Well, yes, I thought you were referring to the mental capacity.
No, I meant she can literally fight. She's basically a mutant.
Yes, she is.
Basically super strong.
We can't use that term in Marvel because it's owned by Fox.
Okay, but then
Inhuman.
so let me put it this way, pardon me, Luke Cage is basically Wolverine.
Yeah, kind of.
Stronger than Wolverine.
Kind of.
So
without the adamantium.
It's like, I guess my thing is, if I'm Tony Stark, I'm keeping the super soldier. I'm keeping the god. I'm keeping the green guy because he might kill me. I'm keeping the witch. The two guys, I'd pick Daredevil over.
Got to keep the Vision, too.
Isn't that the witch?
No, that's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the Scarlet Witch.
I was talking about the Vision.
Who's that?
It's the dude with the red face.
I'm keeping him, too.
Okay.
I'm sitting the two Arrow people over, and I'm being like, thanks, guys. It's been great. You guys are wonderful.
It's been a fun couple of movies. You guys are great, but we're going to go with these two. I'm going to call the fucking Defenders. I'm getting the Daredevil, who basically has supersonic bat hearing. No, you know what? I think I would talk to the Daredevil and be like, listen, Daredevil, I'm going to swap out these two, because I feel like Daredevil, Iron Fist, and the Hawkeye and Black Widow can defend New York. And I'm taking the two, I'm taking the A-team. I'm taking Luke Cage, and I'm taking Jessica Jones. So is your confusion with the agency of the bad guys or with the nature of the powers?
I don't understand how they all...
Because
I just feel
honestly,
like...
I don't know how my brain's going to rectify it with Iron Fist.
This is going to be my emotional rant.
You know, we're almost out of time. Why don't you take us in there?
I feel like
Give us a emotional rant
I feel like this is I feel like Tony Stark is not properly utilizing the team... The powers of the people in the Marvel Universe. And don't give me that his supercomputer that he totally hasn't calculated every single X-Men, every single Defender. I don't think there's a person who has...
Whoa. Are you saying that Tony Stark has Cerebro?
Let me finish.
Fair enough.
He even has the guy who can manipulate dairy. Yeah, that's right. I brought the freaking Misfits into this bitch, because that clearly exists in this universe. I choose to believe that the Misfits exist in the Marvel Universe, too.
Oh, I choose to believe they exist in every universe.
So, yeah, he knows every single person with every single ability, from the person who can literally manipulate milk, which is pointless, to,
Super Hoodie.
Super Hoodie is not a point. To freaking Phoenix, who we're all going to agree is probably the most powerful person in the universe.
I looked it up. It's on a lot of people's lists as the number one most powerful character in Marvel.
To the freaking Phoenix. He knows them all. So you're telling me he has this magic supercomputer, and the people he picks to be on his freaking Avengers team are an assassin who's really good at fighting people, and a freaking guy with bow and arrows. Really? I'm sorry. They're awesome. I love them. But are you telling me he's not I want to swap out? I want to swap. This is freaking Singled Out, and he's swapping people. He's not taking those two. He's going to keep the super soldier. He's going to keep the god. He's going to keep the green guy. I buy that. He's going to keep the witch, and he's going to keep the... Plus, there's a second Quicksilver, so I don't understand why he hasn't called Evan Peters. I'm just saying. Second Quicksilver, come on.
And in my opinion, the far superior
He should be Kevin Peters, come on. He hasn't called the second Quicksilver. How are him and Professor X not having, powwow sessions every single day? I understand why he hasn't taken the Wolverine. I wouldn't take him either. He annoys me. Seriously.
Yeah, but the trailer for Logan looks phenomenal.
I've never liked Wolverine. The fact that he became the king of X-Men has always annoyed me. Because he wears a freaking aqua and yellow suit. It's I hate Wolverine.
But
the trailer looks fine. If I'm Tony Stark, I'm keeping the team that I've already said. I'm keeping the Green Man, I'm keeping the Super Soldier, and I'm keeping the God. I'm calling up the Deadpool, because that guy's hilarious, and also can't die. I'm calling the Unbreakable Woman and the Impenetrable Man, and I'm probably gonna get the Fantastic Four on deck. Sue Storm can literally create force fields and be invisible. How is he not called that? Invisible. I probably wouldn't take the stretchy guy, because who cares about him? And the big rock guy, I already have the Hulk, so I don't really need him. And Johnny Flame would just be confusing. So I would just take Sue.
Come on, the Human Torch is badass.
I would take Sue, because she can go invisible. Plus, I feel like we do need a little bit more diversity on the team. So I'm taking Sue Storm. I'm taking Jessica Jones. I'm taking Luke Cage. I'm taking... the God, the Super Soldier, the Green Guy, myself, because I'm obviously awesome. The Phoenix...
Did you just write yourself into the Avengers?
I'm Iron Man in this story.
Can't you be Iron Woman or
no,
something?
No, I'm Iron Man in this story. Let me finish. I'm taking the computer that turned into a person, which is crazy.
The Vision.
I'm definitely going to take the Phoenix, as long as we can harness her powers. And I'm not talking Jean Grey, I'm talking Phoenix. I might take Cyclops because he can literally, like, shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah, but I thought you wanted diversity. Why don't you take Psylocke?
Let me finish. I'm taking Storm because she can control the freaking weather. And just for fun, you know, kind of to even out my team, Supersonic Teenage Warhead, because that name is freaking ridiculous! That should be the Avengers. If you don't agree with me, screw you. You're probably right. Your opinion is perfectly valid, and I applaud it. But seriously, that should be... Oh, and I'm taking Doctor Strange because I think that would be cool to trap people in mirror dimensions. That would be the Avengers. We would hang out. We would fit everything. And then I would I would give the Defenders Hawkeye and Black Widow, and I don't know who's not doing anything. They can have...
The Falcon? The dude with the wings?
Ant-Man, because I don't care about his power. They can have Ant-Man. You can hang out with them. And then, I don't know. I don't really care about any other city, but...
Actually, Ant-Man becomes one of the heroes for hire.
Yeah, well, then...
So we might get Paul Rudd on Netflix.
Well, then good. Paul Rudd can go hang out with the Defenders in New York City, because that's the only city that seems to matter. And then I'm calling Harry Potter and his chums, and they can take care of England. Because clearly that exists in the same universe, too. So that's what I say this Offender should be, and the Avengers should be. And the fact that Tony Stark's magic computer hasn't done that makes me very upset, because I question his leadership, which is why I understand why Captain America tried to take over. Because Captain America wouldn't make that mistake. He would, because he's kind of dumb. But, That's the Avengers. That should be the Avengers. The fact that he keeps Black Widow and Hawkeye and doesn't bring in Jessica Jones and Luke Cage is nonsense to me. Like, they're wasting Luke Cage on Cottonmouth. Like, first and foremost, he's beautiful. Secondly, he literally cannot be shot or stabbed or, like, hurt unless you blow him up. You literally can't kill him. And same with Deadpool. I just don't understand why Tony Stark is wasting his the talents of his team. And that's my emotional rant. The fact that Tony Stark needs better management skills. He would be very bad at beating. He needs to be. I hate the New England Patriots. But you know what? Belichick knows how to put together a team. He needs to be the Belichick of the Avengers. He needs to put together a better team. Because right now they're the Buffalo Bills, and I love the Buffalo Bills. But come on, put together a better team. Defense, man, defense, and we're done. That's it. I'm out.
A emotional rant by Brooke Heatley.
Emotional rant.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to take us right out of it. Before we wrap up, I just want to tease our audience with a little bit of something. We've got so much in store this month. We're sorry that we haven't been as regular. We've been off for a couple of weeks, but we've got some phenomenal guests that are going to be coming on with us this month. We've got confirmed already David Duncan from the Synthaholics podcast.
Yeah, I love David Duncan. He's so awesome.
We've got a few people that are not confirmed. All I'm going to say is... check out the Darkest Night podcast. There may or may not have been some communication earlier this evening, like 20 minutes before we started recording this. So check out that podcast. Shout out to the Darkest Night. Mm-hmm. And we're also looking to get the Ashen Hollow on here, Jake the Ashen Hollow from YouTube, to talk about cool. Dark Souls 3 with us, because the DLC just came out.
Sorry for all of you who are waiting. I didn't do my Saw rant this month. We were waiting to get Adrian back on and trying to get some stuff going. So it will happen, I promise. I've teased it so much. It will happen.
It's going to happen this month, because we're going to have, we've got a couple of horror guests coming on here. So we're going to have, a Halloween hangover week where we're going to put out a couple of episodes worth of content. You're going to get the Saw rant.
I have more because I listened to something and now I have more.
Oh, to be honest with you, you communicate to me in rants, so you're at no loss of emotional rants.
I have more. Yeah. So I also, for those of you who are paying attention at home, Robbie will probably link it. But if you want to read any of my original stories, the link is in the description, so read them. They're
Absolutely.
Awesome. Serial Killer's Guide to Romance, which I wrote and is amazing, is fully complete. You should read it. It's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to your Wattpad listeners, too.
Shout out to my Wattpad listeners.
Your lovelies, as you call them.
My lovelies. And anyone who's read and is all of my stuff, please read my stuff, because I really want to get published, and if I get enough people to read it, then maybe someone will publish it. So,
or maybe we'll publish it.
But number one thing, if you've taken anything from this podcast at all, please explain to me why Nick Miller has a glamour shot, I think is what is the takeaway from this episode. Why does Nick Miller have a glamour shot in his room? That's the takeaway. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to like and subscribe to this episode. And if you feel like it, we would not mind a comment or two, especially on iTunes. 5 stars. Always a plus. Always a plus.
5 and 4 stars. Anything less than that, Keep, if you don't have anything nice to say it anyways. It's the internet.
So please like and subscribe to our show. Give us a comment if you don't mind, and we'll see you next week. It's time to close the book on this. I've been Robbie.
I'm often Brooke.
Let's close.
Flowers for Adrian.